Hey, what's up, people? This is Jeff C. I have a pretty important message here for folks who might consider themselves part of the truth movement. And I'm seeing some very disturbing activity happening all over the internet as we know it. And, like, for instance, the other day I was working on a video, and I've been working on quite a few behind the scenes sort of thing, in which I was revisiting some of the things that I've covered over the years, some of the shootings and some of the other events that I've covered. And what I've noticed is that the internet is actually being scrubbed of a lot of these stories. A lot of corporate media articles are being scrubbed from the internet dealing with these events. So what I'm seeing is that over and over again, I try to find videos, articles on certain events, mostly the staged ones that we know, or the ones that are orchestrated, whether they be false flags or hoaxes and stuff like that. And all the information is being scrubbed, is what I'm seeing. Now we know, and I imagine everybody that's listening to this right now knows that YouTube has been scrubbed and purged and cleaned out, and there is almost nothing. And I've shown this several times. When you search for truth or hoax or false flag, you get all kinds of Shane Dawson, Matthew Santoro, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, and a BuzzFeed and everything else. And all the conspiracy theorists have turned into silly conspiracies, of course. And Taylor Swift is a clone, and just stupid stuff, right? Mandela effect, flat Earth, all those things that are proliferating all over the internet. So what I think is going on, first and foremost, I think, and I believe this quite strongly, that the work that I was part of, because when we think of the truth movement and we think of all different characters, and you could go through a list of people that channels frequent, or people would frequent their channels and watch their material. And when it comes to myself and the group of people that do similar type work, which I mean, all right, if you were to take my career, which has been whitewashed off YouTube and everything else, and you were to look at all the things that I exposed, probably the primary thing that I really helped, I would like to think, and a lot of people tell me this, wake up people to, is the illusion of the media, whether it be the corporate media or the alternative, fake alternative media and all this. And so using events like, I'm not even going to mention them, say certain shootings and certain bombings and certain terror things that have been put out over the years, what we've shown is that these things are staged and that they're elaborate psyops. And that is something different from everything else that kind of existed before it. There have been people that have done that type of work, but really the only reason that I devoted so much of my time, and I imagine this applies to others, so 6 years now, plus 6 years of doing this, was because there was nobody in the media, whether it be the corporate media or the alternative media, that was exposing these things. Nobody. The only people that were small independent on people on YouTube and the like, and in dark corners, conspiracy blogs and shit like that. So if I think about what it is that, I've said this many times, like when it comes to what my main goal was with Free Radio Revolution, with New World Agenda, and even Fake News Report, has always been to wake people up to the mind control of their media. And that has always been my objective, because I believe once you lift that veneer, once you lift the veil kind of thing on the corporate media, that shatters everything else and it opens the door to a grander awakening. The problem is the layers that we can get buried in, because what would happen with these events is an event would happen, say event A would happen, and then you would have the corporate media response, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to take the guns, do that, profile, there has to be Patriot Acts, things like that. All these things have to happen. Then the alternative media would come in and they would say, well, this MK Ultra or whatever, these are the people that committed it are on, pharmaceuticals, and it's antidepressants and the pharmaceutical industry and all this. And the truth, of course, was neither of what would be presented. The truth was that these events were being concocted, and that's why I did what I did. That's all. It's the only reason that I've ever done what I did. And because there was nobody in the professional media, whether that be the corporate media or the alternative media, that would cover these things and expose them, it was up to individuals to do it. And so I really believe that the work that we've done, and I'm saying folks that have all been part of taking on the propaganda, is amongst the most important work that has been done on the media in the history of the media. That shattering the illusion of the media is the first step that is necessary for a grander awakening. That if the average person had critical thought and the average person applied that critical thought to their programming, then the programming would collapse because the critical thought would rip through it. So I tried to teach people as best as I can how to examine the media and how they use symbols and colors and mind control and camera angles and spooky photos and close-ups and everything that they would use to program you into a state of fear, a state of learned helplessness in which you externalize your power because, of course, you feel threatened and you want more government to come in and save you, sort of thing. So we have been the focal point of the purge. We were the focal point of, I believe, we're the people that they're the most concerned with because we're the only ones. This means you, most likely, if you're listening to this. We're the only ones that actually are challenging these narratives, like properly, not playing angles within the like. It's like a box or a circle, a left and right, and we're outside the circle and we're saying it's a circle and there's a left and right and everybody else is trapped in it. And we're trying to take people outside of that circle or that box so that they can see it for what it is. And so that they understand that they're being manipulated, and so that they understand that the media is actually a weapon. It's actually a weapon that is used to program you. The movies and the entertainment are actually weapons. The sports, it's all weapons that are being used to program you into this new world order. And so that's why I did what I did. And I have done what I've done for so long. And it hasn't been a fun ride. It's been an interesting one. But I continue to be targeted all the time because there's just not many people that do this type of work. So my message to the folks today, all in the Truth Movement. Now there was orchestrated divisions. There are shills. There are people that will pretend to be, exposing these things that aren't going to be legit. And I'm not at all here to expose that. But over time, there are narratives that are thrown around about people like myself that were really agents and shit like that. And that because we examine each event individually, and sometimes we believe that people actually die, all right? If you're somebody and you're listening to this and you're somebody that has fallen under that sort of concocted narrative that people like myself are shills or whatever, that's all part of the mind control. You need to understand this so that you understand that they're trying to crush what we do. And that we should collectively, if we all are very concerned, I imagine you're all concerned, and that's why you're here, you're concerned. And you should be concerned. You should be very concerned. And everybody else should be concerned. I mean, the whole world should be concerned. Really, quite frankly, if the world was a more righteous place, if the world was a better place, then people like us would have a voice, a serious voice. We wouldn't be crushed. We wouldn't be censored. We wouldn't be ostracized. We wouldn't be targeted. We wouldn't be all these things that we've suffered from. And I mean, collectively, if you search YouTube, it's all gone pretty much, right? All the videos. So what I'm saying to folks is, first and foremost, do your best to put aside your differences if it comes to how you viewed events in the past. Like, I might have viewed an event in the past as being a false flag, in which I thought, based on the evidence that was provided, that people actually died. But what I've always said all the time with these events is that they are orchestrated. What I've seen lately is some real hardcore staging with some of these latest events, for sure. And if you're following me on Steam, you know that. If you've been listening to my podcast, I've been showing this. And I'm quite concerned about what's going on. And what I'm most alarmed with right now, and this is why I'm making this video, is what I'm seeing, this complete whitewashing of everything off of not just YouTube, but the internet itself. That I am actually producing videos and putting together videos to show compilations of media fakery and staging and all this. And I'm finding that so much of what I've shown before has been erased from the internet. Not just from YouTube and not just from truthers, but the actual corporate media itself is erasing evidence of what they've done. Taking away articles. And this is happening every day. It's like every day when I start looking up something, and it's like the other day when I was looking up the article by John Ibbotson on the Hawaiian missile. It's just been cleaned from the internet. And I was like, how is that possible? I just covered this. I just covered this like 2 weeks ago. I made a video on it, and now it's been taken off the internet. Like, they have taken the article that was published and they have cleaned it off the internet. Now, it's a possibility that they did, knowing that, you know, it's something that's being exposed, or perhaps they saw my work on it. But it's very disturbing to think that not only are we being psyoped and hoaxed and false flagged and everything else and terrorized into giving up our rights and our freedoms and our guns and everything else that's going on, giving up our freedom of thought, but they are actually whitewashing so much of what they've done over the years. Like, they are deleting massive amounts of information from the internet. So the corporate media is getting rid of a lot of what they've covered before. A lot of evidence, in other words, of their complicity in these events. It's like what I think has happened. So all you people, anybody that might be listening to this, including people that might have turned against me, all right? If you've turned against me, but you're a real person, you're like a real truther, but you've turned against me at some point in time, let's just bury the hatchet, all right? Let's just say, you know, fuck this shit, all right? You may disagree with me on certain events, but I think we're all on the same page, hopefully, unless you're a shill, that we are all being manipulated and we are all being programmed, and that these events are actually being done in order to bring about this NWO. And if we don't take action right now, which means that what I'm trying to say to folks out there is, you should be downloading every video, every piece of evidence. You should be cataloging the best that you can if you're concerned about what's going on. Because it's all being, you know, it's all being purged, and not purged, but deliberately removed. And this is what, I mean, it's really disturbing when you think about this for a second, and you think about, you know, okay, we lost all our work, we lost all our channels, we lost all, you know, whatever event it was that we were exposing. It's all been purged, it's all been clearing. So new folks that might start to question things are not going to be able to find all the work that we've done. And that's disturbing enough as it is. But the fact that they are purging so much of their mind control and their complicity in these events, and that they're cleaning out so that people can't go back and retroactively put together, compelling evidence to show how much of the media is being staged. So what I would recommend to folks out there, if you're really concerned about what's going on, anything that you come across, you should make an effort to keep a copy of what you've seen. So it could be just a video. Like, you might be looking up certain videos on certain topics here on YouTube, and you might start to realize they're all being ripped down. And if you have like a top 10, top 20, a top 30 of the most important videos that you would say, like, if I really wanted people to know about what's going on, these are the videos, you better go check. And I would implore you to download every one of those videos, even if it's just for your own sake, even if it's just going to sit on a hard drive somewhere. At least it's there. Because I believe that they have, over the past couple years, that they have orchestrated this complete annihilation of the truth movement, and that they have taken it over with the flat earth shills and the Pizzagate shills and all that, to make a mockery of it and make it look retarded. And that's why all that stuff is still proliferating. It's still there, but all the real stuff that would wake up people to what's going on is not. I believe that my goal, my only objective from day one of doing this, shattering the illusion of the media for the general public, that is the one thing that they cannot allow to happen. And that is the one thing that scares them the most. And that is why they have been so proactive in taking us out. And that is why they've created all these psyops, which I've shown over and over again, like with YouTube, for instance, and how it's YouTube that creates the controversies, like the Logan Paul, like the PewDiePie Fiverr. They're actually creating these things. It's actually an operation in which they create the controversy, and then they bring in the solution, the Hegelian dialectic. So I believe that right now we are in a massive war, and we're losing badly. And I don't know if we can win. I don't want to sound defeated, and I don't think you should feel that way ever. But we have to start realizing that the information is being purged. It's being removed. It's being whitewashed. It's being cleaned from the internet. And this goes for so much. I am shocked. I am legitimately shocked when I start looking for videos, looking for interviews, looking for crisis actors, and it's all gone. It's like, it's all not just the truther stuff, which you expect, right? But all the actual coverage that ABC, CNN, and all these Fox News have done, or they're actually removing all that purposely so that there's no trail of breadcrumbs that future generations can follow. It's a really disturbing thing. In fact, like, working on these particular videos over the past few days and knowing already all the purging and everything that's happened has really opened my eyes to there's something much bigger happening. They are destroying freedom of speech, and they are re-engineering all the major social media platforms. I believe that they do want us in these little smaller platforms, and that they're trying to lead us into these places. And I know the conundrum that puts people in, because it's like, well, you either are able to continue what you do, albeit to a much smaller audience, albeit not to the mainstream, because when you're on YouTube, your videos, unless of course they're like mine and been purged from any searches and removed from any algorithms and stuff like that, average people can still stumble upon your videos. So average people still stumble upon some of my videos on Supreme Lord Commander every day. Like, I get, for my beta mail ones, I get 20, 30 comments a day, it seems, on some of these videos that are amongst some of the more insignificant work that I've done, comparatively to the importance. Now, the beta mail thing is important and all that. But like, using that as an example, And that'll be something that'll be removed down the line. And what we'll see, unfortunately, what I think we're going to see is that there just will not be any unsanctioned dissidents or any unsanctioned opposition to what they're doing. If there's opposition, it will always be controlled. Alex Jones. It'll always be controlled. It'll always be that element that is thrown in just to take those people and gatekeep them, the people that might start to wake up to what's going on, and throw them on a completely, different path. So this is something that I think all of us that are out there need to be aware of, and we need to start taking steps to ensure that for posterity alone, that people know that this is happened and it is going on, and that this is a very scary time in this type of work. We are being targeted massively. Partially a victim of the success that we've had, trying so hard to reach so many people, having millions and millions of people stumble upon your videos, for better or for worse. I mean, some people come in, they watch my old Free Radio Revolution videos, they would get all angry. And how dare you tell me my news is fake, and how dare you tell me nobody died, how dare you say this, how dare you say that. And but at least that was a discussion. At least that was a way, even if sometimes you're reaching people and you're making them angry, you're at least getting them to react to what you position. At least they've seen what you've shown, and at least then perhaps you have planted the seed. It may never germinate, but maybe it will, because maybe that person who got angry and triggered, keeps that in the back of their mind, and then maybe over time they start to see the patterns. So I think it's really unfortunate that there are no social media platforms that are going to ensure what we do, save perhaps the blockchain. The blockchain might be the only thing, and I'm not at all here to champion the blockchain at all. And I'm not at all here to try to get you to, sign up for all these, Steemit and stuff like that. I mean, I am to a certain extent, because that's where you'll find my work. But the problem is that most people are creatures of habit. We're so used to going on YouTube. We're so used to, having that easy access to our subscribers and looking at our feed and clicking, selecting what we do with our time, selecting what we choose to indulge ourselves in, or at least, try to absorb the information that's being presented. So it's dark days for us people that are doing this. It really is. And so many of us have been hit. And it's interesting to note. Everyone should note this. All you people out there that are listening to this, you should note who has been taken out of the purge and who hasn't. Now, that doesn't mean that people that weren't taken out by the purge aren't legit. There are some extremely good, legit people there that I believe are just so good at presenting things in a more ambiguous and more, you choose type way. And those people are wonderful. And, I know of a few of them, sort of thing, and I really appreciate what they do. But I think that for the most part, almost all of us that were involved in the same type of work, the total annihilation of media programming, dissecting events, because if you come into an event and one side is saying, well, this thing is horrible and we need to do this, that, and that, and the other side is saying, well, no, yeah, okay, it's horrible, but you're not talking about the root causes of the whole thing. And the truth is neither. The truth is that the whole thing has been concocted, whether it be an elaborate hoax or a false flag. That's the truth with most of these events. And you have the fake alternative media, and you have the fake corporate media, and you have the fake left and right divide. And then you have all the shills. And I don't believe there's anybody of note in the corporate media that exists that is truly legit. I don't believe it. The alternative media, there's very few. Professional alternative media people, they're a rare breed, extremely rare breed. And it might just be that what they cover is not threatening enough that they're able to continue what they do for this time. But what we did collectively was far too damaging, because shattering the illusion of the corporate media, shattering the illusion of the fake alternative Zionist media is way too dangerous for what they're trying to achieve. And that is why we have been the major target. And we've been a major target for a very long time, starting with 9/11 truth and then Sandy Hook truth and then all these other things. So I don't expect solidarity in the sense that everybody's fragmented and people have gone to all different platforms. You get some people on new upstart sort of websites that are selling themselves as truth sort of areas, and we've had that before. And we've got some people on BitChute or DTube, DLive. There's all these different platforms that people have gone to, and that inevitably and unfortunately leads to no cohesive sort of community, which could be good or bad, and is a bit of both at the same time. But overall, it's a huge punch to the stomach that we've received, and overall, I find it extremely disturbing. And another thing that you need to know about the removal of all the whitewashing that's happening is that a lot of these really important documentaries are also being scrubbed. And this is what I say about it. If you see something and you're like, this is really good, hey, download that fucking thing, man. Download it right away. Stick it on a hard drive. I'm sure most people have, old hard drives they can shove all this crap on. Stick it on a hard drive and save it just in case, because it might be something so important in the future and it might be gone. The disturbing element of how they can just wipe people's history off the internet, how they can wipe out everything that they've done, that is really, really disturbing. Because the internet is how most of us communicate. So they gave us this platform to be able to have this direct communication with people around the world instantaneously. And we use that to examine what they are up to. And when we examined it and we watched it and we carefully, analyzed it completely, we realized that we were being duped more often than not. And so we started to show this to humanity, to try to save humanity from being duped. Because, hey, when shit hits the fan, which will most likely be orchestrated, and people are forced to make major decisions which will affect the future of humanity, people will be turning to their televisions for answers. And then they'll be turning to YouTube for answers. And there won't be anybody there, likely, that will be able to give them the right answers. And so, I don't even know at this point what we can do. All I can say is that, maybe the blockchain for the truth movement, just because it's there, it's set in stone, might be an opportunity. But they're also using the blockchain to bring in the Phoenix and to bring in a cashless society as well. Absolutely, 100%. Sometimes we have no choice but to use their platforms and their machinations, because we can't really work any other way. It seems like we can't make our own internet, and even if we did make our own internet, it would just be all of us there. How would we get to the average person? So it's really, really scary what I see going on, and I think that Everyone should try their best to and I'm asking to all of you right now, you think 20, 30 videos, even top 10 videos that you think are the most important things that woke you up. See if they're still there and download them right away. And keep them, because the day may come where that information is nowhere to be found, and you might be the only person, or you might be one of the few people that actually has a copy of something that is so important for humanity to see. And it'll be up to you to make sure that information exists, remains. So yeah, let me know what you think. I mean, all you folks, I'm not here to scare you. I mean, obviously we know, right? Obviously we know. There's a lot of stupid things that happen in the truth movement. There was a lot of petty infighting, and a lot of that being orchestrated. But at the end of the day, humanity was much better off when we had people that would question everything, and we had platforms that would allow this, major platforms like YouTube, to a certain extent. And we don't have that anymore. And so there is no opposition on any major platform. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these platforms are controlled. So it's up to us now to come up with new strategies and new tactics that are foolproof, or as foolproof as we could possibly think, in terms of reaching people and trying to get through that pertinent information, that most important information, that they cannot ever trust the corporate media. They should never trust any of it. And that we should be doing our best to preserve the great work that has been done to expose so much of what we are all suffering from. So, thank you so much for listening. Don't be despondent. I'm still up on Steemit, and I'm doing live shows on DLive, and I'm still getting thousands of people showing up. So there's still an audience. There's still people there, and there's still people that are fighting this fight. And we're long from done, but we've taken some serious blows. So if you can, put aside some of that animosity that you might have, some of that petty silliness of, oh, I didn't like this person because they called this event a certain way. Just throw all that crap away. If you're here and you really care about what's going on, if you really understand what's happened, it's time to bury all that shit and time to stand together and try to reach humanity with what we have to reach humanity with. Thank you so much for listening, and please follow the links in the description to check out my Steemit, and follow me there the best that you can. I will do my best to use Supreme Lord Commander now and again. If I'm doing a live show, I usually put a short video up. It can't be anything controversial, and I'll just say, hey, come and check it out. So make sure you're subbed to Supreme Lord Commander. I mean, if you see that I'm playing a game, you don't want to watch a gaming or a music thing, you don't have to. You just skip by it. But this is one of the only ways I can reach people now on this platform. This is really it. And, yeah, so thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.